Do you know, it's a really interesting exercise to compare your constitution to the constitution of the European Union, which is now called the Lisbon Treaty. Your constitution is 7,200 words, including all the amendments. The EU's is more than 175,000 words. Yours is mainly about the dispersal of power, drawing the border between state and federal authority and so on. The EU's is mainly about the concentration of power. It keeps enumerating more and more powers on everything from the status of the disabled to space exploration. I mean, it's boundless. You know, there was a debate at the time, why is there no mention of Europe's Judeo-Christian heritage? Well, you know, I think it's all there in the Babel story. When you have authors with this level of presumption, there's no room for the Almighty in a document like that. I mean, I suspect he'll be able to look after himself, but it's the document that I was worried about. Your Declaration of Independence promises life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. The EU's equivalent, which is called the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, guarantees our right to strike action, free healthcare, and affordable housing. You see the difference in approach here, right? The categorical difference in attitude to state power. And I think the real clincher is this. Your constitution eventually came into effect following ratification by the 13 member states. Well, I think by 11 of them. I think it was Rhode Island and North Carolina came into line a bit later. The EU constitution was rejected in referendum in France, in the Netherlands, and in Ireland, and was then imposed anyway. Because they've never been concerned about democracy. They regard their ideology as being too important to be left to the ballot box. They think it trumps the rule of law, freedom, and the will of the people. And ultimately, that was the system that Britain voted to leave, right? See, I really want to stress this. We're not turning our backs on our allies in Europe. During the campaign, a decision was made to deploy British forces to defend Poland and Estonia. That deployment has now been made. No one has criticized it. It's a completely uncontroversial thing that we're standing by our friends in Europe. We have a continuing interest, an immediate stake in the success of our European neighbors, because prosperous neighbors make good customers, and because these are old friends of ours. So we were not voting against Europe. What we were voting against was a remote, self-serving bureaucracy that admits no impediment to its ambitions. That is utterly at odds with your tradition, utterly at odds with ours. We will be a free, independent people, interested and engaged in the affairs of every continent, including Europe, but living once again under our own laws.